All right,
$37,000.
well,
Do you
let's
think?
let's find out what happened here. Obviously, with any part that comes from Germany, there's going to be, the Porsche tax, the BMW tax, the Audi tax, whatever there is on it. Let's dive into this. What we got going on in MJ?
All right, so I'm going to show you. We're going to look at this story from Car Scoops. Link will be in the description. There's actually a Reddit post that actually includes more information.
Mm.
So we're going to zip over to that. The guy that bought this vehicle, this is a 2019 Cayenne
Hmm.
Porsche. The dealer quoted him $37,000 for failed turbos and a leaking water pump. So what he was saying, he went to one dealership a year ago, and then he moved. So the
Hmm.
first one replaced his water pump, and then they're saying it failed again. So he's like, well, I just bought this water pump. Let's see the story. They're saying, he says there's no definitive proof the turbos are bad aside from a P0299 turbo underboost code. They never told us about the warranty. They're talking about for the water pump. And then they're saying the dealership tried to push a trade-in on my wife, and then Porsche customer service in North America initially declined the goodwill. Now the case is under review. I filed complaints with the bar, the attorney general, and NHTSA. All right, so this guy is, I looked at the thing. He's a doctor, it looks
Of
like.
course.
He bought this used, and it was under the factory pre-owned warranty, but then that warranty expired and he kept driving it. So let's have some teachable moments here. Number one, well, the first teachable moment is don't buy a Porsche Cayenne unless it's unless it's brand new and you got the full warranty. But yeah, I guess he learned that lesson. He was saying he's thinking about other brands for the next vehicle. But anyway, so he learned that lesson. Lesson number two, and this is my suggestion. If you get a used German luxury car, especially an extremely expensive one, and this one was like $90,000, when your certified pre-owned warranty runs out, it is time for you to run out as well. Get rid of that thing before it bites you. Dane, do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, don't own any German car without a warranty,
Yeah.
unless
Unless you can
you're
fix it like Dane.
unless you're mechanically inclined. But even then, parts for these cars are not cheap. Like, you could look at a comparable size turbo that is a generic turbo, not a vehicle specific like this is going to be, and it's going to be a small fraction of the cost of the one used on the Porsche. I don't
Very
know
true.
a bunch about this actual turbo and engine, but there's a possibility you could get a bearing housing and turbine wheel assembly from something else, and then just put those compressor and turbine housings back on that bearing housing center, and you could be away and working again for a lot cheaper. There's usually a lot of workarounds on stuff
Yeah.
like this, but you have to be savvy, you have to be very knowledgeable, and you, my friend, Dr. Friend, are none of that, obviously. So this I would get out of this.
Let's see. I didn't want to be too mean to the doctor because maybe he'll be doing surgery on me one day.
Yeah.
So, in all niceness, Mr. Doctor, you are amazing and smart at fixing people. But when you need expertise, you need to come to the gearheads like myself and Dane, and especially people who are familiar, even more familiar with Porsches than we are. And we are just trying to give you a little bit of advice. The first piece of advice is don't buy a used Porsche Cayenne.
Yeah.
Second piece, once that certified pre-owned warranty runs out, get rid of the thing.
Yeah.
And by the way, as far as trading it in, he was upset that somebody asked him to trade it in. If you were able to pay off what you owe on that thing, I would have took the money and trade. I would have took the offer and traded it in just for an even swap, just to get away from that thing. Because your problems, you think once you get rid of this problem, it's going to be over? It's just beginning.
Yeah.
You're
I'll tell
going to
you
have
what.
more problems.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Anytime I see these stories come up where the owner of the vehicle is complaining about how terrible the dealership is, and there's this huge bill, I always feel like there's a lot more to the story than we're being told. We're only being told the details that makes the dealership look bad.
Yeah.
Porsche specifically has got the best reputation in the automotive industry, period. So
For what? Reputation for what?
for engineering excellence, performance, for steering, handling, build quality, like they're
What?
just like the top
I
for
don't
the
know
most
about
part.
that.
Well, most critics are going to say Porsche's number one. For,
Build quality is over Lexus?
yeah, a lot of guys will
No
say that.
way.
Oh yeah,
All right, well,
Porsche build
that's
quality is very good.
I don't know about that, but that's I
You
don't
might
know.
be a
That's
little.
we have to
You
disagree on
might
that
also
one.
be a little biased because you worked for Toyota, but
Yeah,
anyways, understand that yeah, this car was like $100,000 car new or really close to it, and now you own it. So 7, 8 years later, well, guess what? You still have to pay $90,000 vehicle prices on parts, right? Think about 10, 15-year-old Mercedes that were $120,000 new, and guys saying, "Man, I'm getting a bargain. Bought this car for $35,000. 10 years ago it was 120." Well, the first time something it needs brakes and you've got carbon ceramics on there and it costs you $6,000 to do a brake job, don't complain. Like
yeah,
that's how it is with these cars. That's
that's
what it's
how
like
it is.
owning a expensive luxury car, even if you bought it at a cheaper price.
They're thinking in the comments that maybe the water pump was leaking, and then maybe it leaked into some vacuum lines and made it look like the turbo was bad. So
Get out of here with that.
this guy says, as a Porsche tech, I agree. I have never seen or come across a water pump failure and turbos failing at the same time. Seems to me like that dealer doesn't have knowledgeable techs working on it and are just firing parts at it. Coolant most likely got into the vacuum valve solenoids, thus causing vacuum to not be routed properly to the turbos also, which would explain the underboost code. Interesting.
Mm.
And then it looks like this is the doctor. And he says, that's what I suspected. I am a surgeon by training. My wife and I know nothing about Porsche, but the $37,000 bill kept me up at night learning the mechanics of the engine. And from my
Mhm.
very limited knowledge, the underboost code can be from various things, but rarely from bilateral turbo failures in a less than 80,000 mile Porsche. Yeah. He says, I could tell you're a surgeon since you said bilateral turbos. All right. So then he says, both turbos failing at the same time is highly unlikely. I'd be willing to bet they are fine. All right. So skip to the end. It looks at the end, he ended up just replacing one turbo.
Mm.
So it looks like the logic of both turbos failing at the same time was accurate. Dane, have you seen two turbos fail at the exact same time? Doesn't that sound a little odd?
Not unless there's an engine failure before that ruins the turbos on the way out.
No.
Say you have you shatter a piston and it goes out the exhaust and you have a twin turbo set up, then maybe. But like, yeah, no, you're not gonna have an issue unless you have an oiling problem, right? So all of a sudden you have like low oil pressure and you ruin the bearings inside of both turbos. Um, it's pretty rare. Turbos are very durable. They don't really need much of anything.
Yeah.
They just need heat from the exhaust to spin, and that's it. As long as
Well,
you
they
keep
need
any foreign
coolant
objects
and
out of the exhaust stream, you're not really going to hurt them.
yeah. Well, you still got to make sure that your coolant is flushed at the right time. Because coolant cools them down, and
If
sometimes they
they're
have
cooled,
oil cooling them.
yeah.
I would imagine they got the turbos are cooled in this.
And these cars, maybe, yeah, probably. It's hard to say, but either way, it's just a pass through. It's not
Yeah.
like there's like any complex anything going on, and it's just a piece of cast with a jacket in it, inlet hole and an outlet hole, and that's it. Like there's not a whole lot going on inside of a turbo. They're super
Mm,
simple. These are have got to be variable geometry, which
yeah.
just means the turbo vanes that are spinning in the exhaust compressor housing has a wheel on the outside that'll
Mhm.
move in and out, that'll direct air at it in a different way, and that's to help it spool faster at low speeds and then keep the turbo speed up as the engine raises in RPM.
Yeah.
But again, that stuff's all very robust. Turbos are very simple.
All right, last two comments. This guy says, sounds like an inexperienced technician and service writer. Dealer number two may not have known about the repairs that dealer number one performed. If there is coolant leaking into the vacuum lines, that may be the cause of your underboost faults. Don't replace the turbos until they've been inspected by a second and hopefully competent Porsche mechanic. Oh. And then the doctor replied, thanks. Ironically, my wife and I were window shopping at Hyundai and Toyota because we thought we were stuck with a lemon. If that independent mechanic hadn't told us to ask about parts warranty, we would have probably traded it in at a loss. Oh, okay, so he would have lost money if he traded it in.
Of course.
All right. And my suspicion is that the turbos are fine because car was otherwise okay. No smoke, noise, or strange smell. And it had been maintained strictly with Porsche. Okay. So it had been maintained. So yeah, maybe it was unlikely that both turbos went out at the same time. Yeah, luxury. This is luxury car. This is not something that Dane and I work with very often. Let's see.
I'll work
This
on your old
guy's
Porsche Cayenne. You bring it over. I'm a lot
Dane.
cheaper.
Dane, you can fix it.
MJ, what can't I fix?
I don't know. You tell me.
Me neither, but I'm ready to find out.
Oh boy, you're gonna find out. All right, well, that's what we have, people. Be very careful when buying used luxury cars. When they are out of warranty, it's time to head for the hills, as far as I am concerned.